A lot of news. The first item for today is to introduce and swear in two new members appointed by President Trump um, since the last meeting of the commission, which happened in January. So we will now, as of today, we'll have all 7 seats filled as soon as we swear them in. So I will begin by introducing these two newest appointees. Chamberlain R. Harris currently serves as the Deputy Director of Oval Office Operations at the White House. She began her career in Washington, D.C. at the White House and continued her work in Florida at the Office of the 45th President, managing President Trump's Presidential Portrait Project in conjunction with the National Portrait Gallery of the Smithsonian Institution and the White House Historical Association. Pamela Hughes Padnode has extensive experience as an executive in the private, nonprofit, and government sectors. She serves as principal at Granite Housing Strategies, LLC, where she provides strategic advice for clients engaged in real estate development, affordable housing, and disaster recovery management. She served previously as the Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development from 2017 to 19, where she managed the operations of the cabinet level housing and community development agency. So with that, Chamberlain Harris and Pamela Padnode, can you please raise your right hands? And all I have to do is put my finger on the oath. I found it. There we go. Do you, Chamberlain Harris and Pamela Padnode, solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter. So help you God.
I do.
I do.
Great. Thank you very much. And welcome to the Commission of Fine Arts. I should mention, so now we've got our all 7 seats filled. This is great. We've got a quorum and we'll move on now. Mr. Chairman, the first item of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was held on the 22nd of January, 2026. These were circulated to you in advance. I don't believe we got any comments, but we do ask, Mr. Chair, that you adopt these for the record with a vote. And you're on mute at the moment, Mr. Chairman.
I move the minutes.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Wonderful,
opposed?
thank you. We
Okay.
will have those posted to our website. They are the part of the official record of the proceedings from last month. All right, our next administrative item are the dates of the upcoming meetings of the commission, which are the following: the 19th of March, 16th of April, and 21 of May of 2026. This is consistent with what was published at the beginning of the year. We'll go through we'll in July, we'll give you that next year's cycle. Please note again that the chairman has directed that we return to in-person meetings. So attendance for presenters and participants will take place here at the commission offices in the National Building Museum or Pension Building here in Washington, D.C. And we will have more information available as we get closer to that meeting, which would be scheduled for 4 weeks from today.
Tom,
So,
can you
Mr.
repeat those dates, please?
Oh, yes, it is the 19th of March, the 16th of April, and the 21st of May. Just a quick mnemonic, it's always the 3rd Thursday of the month, unless there's sometimes we get there's occasionally a holiday conflict. The practice has not been to meet in the months of August and December. So usually it's 10 times. Okay, so that includes our administrative items. We will now move on to submissions and reviews, beginning with the adoptions of the appendices. Again, the vast majority of the cases that we actually are moving through. So the first appendix is the consent calendar and delegated items. Dan Fox will present the February 2026 Appendix 1.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. There are 10 items on the consent calendar this month, and there were no changes between the draft and the final versions that were circulated to the commission. So with that, we would just need your vote to move forward with these cases.
I move it.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Great, thank you. Second
you.
appendix will be for the Shipstead Loose Act cases. This is coming to us by, it's the review of private development in areas of federal interest. And Vivian Lee is here to present that appendix.
Good morning. There are 10 cases on the final Shipstead Loose Act appendix. Since the draft appendix was issued, we made the following changes. We held 3 cases open for review at a future month, which are, for the record, SL 25-141, replacement antennas at 1275 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, SL 25-098, replacement antennas at 2600 Virginia Avenue Northwest, and SL 26-055, sidewalk seating area at 1201 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. We changed the recommendation on one case to no objection after revisions by the applicant, which is, for the record, SL 26-063, new signs at 101 Constitution Avenue Northeast. And there were small changes throughout the final appendix, including wording and supplemental materials received. We're waiting for supplemental materials on 2 cases, and we expect to continue working with the applicants to resolve minor issues in the next couple of weeks. The vote of the commission today to approve the final appendix will allow us to move the projects forward. Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve?
So
Mr.
moved.
Chairman. Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Patton.
I'll second it then. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
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 Great. And our third appendix comes to us from the Old Georgetown Act case review. Of course, there is a separate board, the Old Georgetown Board, that reviews that huge jurisdiction, literally half of our caseload. And Jessica Amos is here to present that February appendix.
Thank you. Good morning. We have 63 cases on the final appendix for you. The final appendix has not changed since the draft that was circulated to you last week. I will note that there is one applicant who we are still working with to resolve some issues, but we anticipate that to be resolved in the next couple of days. So your action today will allow us to process these applications and to continue working with that one applicant.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All
Thank you.
right. Thank you very much. Now we've got one case that's on, before we move into the presentations, the commission has identified one case that was on today's agenda that you would like to go ahead and approve without the presentation. So that still requires an action, but you're gonna let it go as submitted. That case is item B2, the Four Corners projects, which is a White House grounds and President's Park West Side. These are for temporary security barriers and other modifications for a final design. This has been already approved, seen and approved by the commission at the concept level. This is really just the detail. And again, these are temporary security installations that are intended to be there for several years, but then replaced by something more permanent.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. And we will we'll pass that along. The other phase, which is on the Four Corners, the 2 east side parts, because of the next case we're about to see, that's a little bit still being worked out. So that eventually will come to you as well, I think, in the next this spring, I believe. So now we move on to the first case on the agenda. This is submitted by the Executive Office of the President. on behalf of the National Park Service. This is a concept design for the construction of a new addition to the White House complex to accommodate a large ballroom and associated services. The addition would replace the east wing, which was a 15,000 square foot building connected to the main residence by a passage and colonnade at the ground level. The east wing was demolished in October. So the ballroom itself is about 110 by 200 feet within a little bit larger building, ceilings of roughly 40 feet tall, situated a story above the east wing entrance grade, but at the same level as the White House residence, the state ballroom, the stateroom level. It would be connected directly into the residence via an added corridor leading directly into the east room through that facade. The top of the proposed addition's balustrade would be exactly the same elevation height as the historic residence. It would read as another story higher along East Executive Avenue as the land drops to the east and south. So this project was last seen as an information presentation for comment at this commission's last meeting 4 weeks ago. In that meeting, those of you who participated supported the direction of the project and provided several comments, noting the national importance of the project and the need to be compatible with the historic White House residence. You raised concerns about security, particularly concerning the openness of the outdoor terraces, as well as about the large scale of the portico on the addition's south side. So the design team returns this month with a concept submission that includes design revisions and more details about the proposal. The most significant change has been the removal of the pediment, the triangular architectural top, from the south portico, modifying it to be more of a linear colonnade. And so with that, I'm going to introduce the project architect, Shalom Baranis of Shalom Baranis Associates. I should mention for the record that Mr. McCreary.
Now let me jump in there, please. Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, welcome to the applicants here. For consistent with what how I conducted myself last meeting, I need to recuse myself because of my more recent involvement with this project, direct involvement with the project, and it would be inappropriate for me to either comment on or vote upon the applicant's work. So thank you. I'm going to turn off my camera and my microphone. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Baranis, go ahead. And by the way, we have the model. There have been models, physical models, which have been delivered to various parties, but we've got it set up here with Dan Fox on my staff to take views of that model whenever it might be appropriate, either for the presentation or for the commentary by the commission. There we go. Mr. Baranis, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for having us back here again. Pleasure to be here. After just giving a brief reintroduction to the site, we'll be presenting here, and there are three general areas about this project we're going to be addressing today. The first will just be architectural issues related to the building itself. The second set of issues will have to do more with sight lines, views of the project, both from inside the security line and outside the security line, primarily focusing on how the public will see this building. And then finally, we have some landscape drawings we'd like to share with you. So if we could go to the next slide, please. This is an aerial view of these White House grounds as they existed earlier last year before we started work on the site. And in the next image, you'll see that we've superimposed here in gray the footprint of the proposed ballroom structure and the new east colonnade. Of course, we have the Treasury building directly to the east and EEOB directly to the west there. Let's go to the next one. We've also included the civil drawing because there were questions about the grade, existing grade, proposed grade around the site. So in this civil drawings, if you look at this carefully, which I know is difficult to see here, but it's in our submission, and it does show what all of the existing grades and proposed grades are generally around the site. And I'll just note here that there is a drop from the north side that, can you see my cursor, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Sort of. I can augment though with some notations. Shalom.
Okay,
We
Thank you.
can't see your cursor. It's a different.
okay. All right, north is to the top, but there's a drop in the elevation of the site from the north, sweeping around to the east, going south, and then the elevation just continues to drop as we wrap around the building. If we go to the next one, please. These are drawings I showed you last time. At the top, we have the north elevation of the entire site with the two adjoining buildings, EOB and Treasury, and at the bottom, the south elevation. And if we go to the next one, you had asked that this has no trees in it. So you had asked that we develop both elevations showing existing and proposed trees. And at the top and the bottom both, we've made the darker trees the trees that line the sidewalk in public space are shown in a darker green, and the trees beyond the sidewalk are shown in a much more transparent, much lighter shading of green. So of course, at the top, we have the north elevation again. And again, I'd ask you just to note the amount of vegetation that there is around the ballroom there, just to the left of the White House. And then on the south, of course, we have the same thing. Next image, please. All right, now I'm going to show you a series of 7 renderings. And I'm going to be moving generally clockwise around the building to give you a sense of how this addition that we're proposing, this ballroom addition we're proposing, will be viewed by the public from different positions. And in each case here, with each rendering, you'll see in the lower right a small plan with a red arrow, and the red arrow indicates where the station point is, where you're standing in order to see this particular view in the rendering. Great, thank you. So here we are in Pennsylvania Avenue, looking pretty directly at the main portico of the White House. And off to the left there, you can see the 2-story colonnade. And then, of course, beyond that, the ballroom structure on the east side. Let's go to the next one, please. So here we've moved inside the security line, inside the fence. There are trees behind us. But again, this gives you an oblique view of both the colonnade and the ballroom structure. And again, I would just ask you to note that we've very lightly shaded and shown the tree that would be directly on axis with this particular view. Let's go to the next one, please. Continuing around, we're now looking in the other direction, slightly to the west, southwest. And I think the main thing to notice here is that as I mentioned last time, we have developed this datum at the horizon line, at the roof line, where our balustrade matches the balustrade on the White House. And that line, you can think of it as a horizon line, as a primary horizon line, basically wraps around the entire project. On the White House, the only time that horizon line is exceeded is with the portico at the front there, and also with the roof that's just behind the trees there that is slightly higher, several feet higher than the balustrade. And we've actually repeated that here in our building. The other thing I'd note about this, which is quite interesting, is that the balustrade on the north side of the White House has a slightly different configuration than the balustrade on the other 3 sides of the White House. There's just a different cadence in the balusters versus the solid portions. And we've chosen to repeat that. You can see that somewhat clearly here, the balustrade at the top of our building on the left. And if you were to look at it very, very closely, you would see working drawings, there's a slight difference in the cadence of the balusters as one moves around the building. So as is the case in the White House, we've configured the balustrade just slightly differently on the north than on the other three elevations. Now, on this slide, you're starting to see the side elevation of the portico, which will serve as the primary entrance for the public. And if we could go to the next image, please. Here you have, of course, a much clearer view of that. Again, I just would point out the continuation of that horizon elevation with the balustrade, continuing all the way around. And of course, here you're also starting to get a view on the far left, which is the south side of the project, of the area that Mr. Lupke mentioned where we removed the pediment. The arched windows in the middle relate to the ballroom in the center of the structure. Next, please. You can also see the grade dropping as we move around here. It's fairly clear. So here's a fairly direct view looking to the northwest. And again, the primary change here, of course, has been the elimination of the pediment. The president has agreed to do that. And we still have the terrace there, which is just slightly below the elevation of the ballroom, with the stair spilling down to the lawn. And in the distance there, you can see the EEOB, and on the far right, you get just a glimpse of the south elevation of the Treasury. One thing I'd ask you to note here also is the rusticated base below the arched windows. We actually, that is an element that you see currently at the base of the White House. It's an ashlar rusticated base, and we're continuing that all the way around. And shortly, I'll show you one change we made on the west elevation related to the base. Next, please. So here we are looking directly at the west elevation of the ballroom, and two changes. Actually, there's three changes here. Of course, starting with the elimination of the pediment on the upper right-hand corner there. We also added one arched window. The one on the far left is a new window. That had more of a solid wall treatment with a punched window before. And I think it'll be a little bit more clear in the elevation. I'll show you shortly why we did that. But the main reason for doing that is that it really simplified this overall elevation. Before, there was a reading of 4 elements across this elevation. You had the reading of the portico on the right-hand side with the columns. Then you had the center, which is bookended with the arched windows, and then the north and read as 2 separate parts. So in order to simplify that and reduce this to a reading of 3 elements, we added the arched windows, the arched window on the left, and basically reduced the length of that solid wall just behind the tree. The other change we made here, which will also be clear on an elevation I'll show you shortly, is that we changed the elevation at the base of the building where it meets the lawn underneath the terrace. In our previous scheme, we continued the ashlar rustication all the way around, and we treated the windows basically as punched openings in a wall. The reason we changed that is because on the base of the colonnade, we have a lighter treatment that looks exactly like this with that supports the terrace. And we felt that it would read much better, it would be simpler to take that same reading and wrap it all around the base of the terrace. So you basically have a consistent reading of the elevation of the wall directly below the terrace, both on the west side that we're looking at here, as well as on the south side of the colonnade. As we work on these projects, we generally try to rationalize things and make them simpler in terms of their reading, and I think we've been able to accomplish that here. Next, please. Here's another view where you get perhaps a slightly clearer reading of the relationship of the terrace there at the base of the ballroom as it wraps around to the south side of the colonnade. Next, please. Here we have two floor plans, the lower level on the left, and as you might recall from our last presentation, that stairway that you see on the right-hand side of the left elevation is the main entry point for the public and for the ballroom. You enter a series of rooms with a grand stair that takes you up into the hall on the right-hand side, which is the upper level. There's a foyer, there's a grand stair, and all of that leads into the ballroom. Of course, as well as the colonnade coming directly from the east room along that corridor past that stair that also leads into the main foyer and into the ballroom. And on the lower part of this elevation, of course, you see the terrace there with the columns, and that is the area where we removed the pediment. Next, please. So here we have the elevations of the ballroom, and in the upper one, the only change there, the primary change there, I should say, is the removal of the pediment on the far left. And then in the lower elevation, which is the west elevation, again, you can see the revision to the base below the terrace, and you can also see the additional window that we added, an arched window that we added on the far left. So those 9 arched windows are bookended by these 2 solid bays, with each one has a rectangular punched window in that wall. And then on the far left of that elevation, we have a slight recess just to the left of that punched window. We have a very narrow, it's about 2 feet wide and about 4 inches deep. And that's where we make the transition to a language that carries around to the north side of the ballroom structure, which of course uses the same language as we have on the north side of the primary central pavilion here, which is the White House. Next, please. On the top here, we have the north elevation, and we've cut this section right at the face of the building. I should note here that you really don't see the base of this 2-story colonnade, because the grade just in front of this, about 10 feet out, rises to almost to the top of those arches. That grade is low here because there's an existing service drive, and it's used as a primary delivery point for the White House. And by adding a new delivery point on the south side of our new structure, we'll be able to, we won't be eliminating the service drive, but it'll be used much less frequently as a result of the additional drive we have on the south side. And then, of course, yes, the arrows you see there, it's just the one on the right, not the one on the left, that will be used for deliveries. Let's go to the next one, please. Here we have 2 sections. We have a north-south and an east-west section. East-west is at the bottom, of course. And the only thing I would note here is if we look at the top drawing there on the far left, there you see the stair coming up. You see the ceiling is a bit lower than it is to the right. And basically, we have a sequence here on the interior where the ceiling and the scale of the overall space, your experience of the space, increases as the ceiling steps up as you approach the ballroom. I know you don't deal with interiors here, but we thought it would be interesting just to look at this. And on the far right, of course, you can see the relationship of the ballroom to the south lawn and the terrace that we're providing there. Next, please. These are additional sections. We're not showing any interior. We're showing a few interior details, but we've generally stripped these drawings of interior details on the walls of the structure that we're proposing here. But this drawing is here just to give you a sense, again, for the relationship height-wise of the proposed ballroom to the White House on the left in the upper drawing there. Next, please. Okay, now I'm going to shift to the second part of the presentation I mentioned, and this is an animation. And there should be an arrow in the lower left. There we go. If you could press that arrow. So we're on Pennsylvania Avenue here, and you're looking at the EEOB on the right. And we're moving towards the east, of course. And again, we developed this animation just to give you a sense for how the public will experience this building. And again, I would just note that we made the trees fairly transparent here. So it won't be quite as visible as you see here. And that's the treasury that's appearing on the left there. And I think you get a pretty clear view of the relationship massing wise and height wise of this ballroom structure to the primary residence. Let's go to the next one, please. This is on the actually, this is the same one. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, correct. You can just keep going on this. Yeah, this is the correct one. We're on the south side here. You're seeing the ballroom structure there, and then the White House is appearing. Again, keep in mind that the elevation of the ballroom structure is several hundred feet closer to us than the south elevation of the White House. And this is as close as the public can get to the White House reservation. So we took the station point from that area. Okay, thank you. And we can go on to the next one. So the other thing we did in order to better understand how this building will be perceived by the public, we photographed the White House grounds from 16 different points that are shown with these red arrows. We took a photograph of each, and then with Photoshop, we superimposed our ballroom structure. On the right-hand side, you can see that two of them were taken from quite a distance. Number 16 at the bottom there on the right is from very far away from the Jefferson Memorial, of course. And then on the right, number 15, we took from the steps of the Capitol. I won't show you all 16 of these, but I'll show you several of them to get a sense for, again, what the White House, I'm sorry, what the view will be for the public. Let's go to the next one, please. So the way we're presenting these is these images are paired. The two at the top are the same images, and the two at the bottom are the same images. So if we look at the two top ones, you'll see a photograph that we took just a few months ago with no leaves on the trees. And behind the trees there, you have a structure, which is, of course, our proposed structure. To the right of that, we outlined in red, just for the sake of clarity, what the outline is of our proposed structure. So here it is from Pennsylvania Avenue on the top two. And then the bottom two, again, you can see we just changed our view. We changed the angle slightly of the view. So you see a little bit more of the west elevation of the ballroom. Let's go to the next one, please. Same thing here. We've moved eastward, so we're looking more obliquely. The cranes, of course, won't be there. We promise not to make those permanent structures. But again, you can see the proposed ballroom structure behind the trees here. And then if we go to the bottom two, it's very difficult to see the structure through the winter trees even. So during the summer, I imagine that it won't be visible at all. But we're standing pretty far north in the park, looking south. And if we go to the next two. Now we've moved over to the south side. And again, this is about as close as the public can get. And I think, as you know, I mean, this is a pretty iconic view of the White House. You see the south portico there framed by two fairly dense cluster of trees. And even in the winter here, you know, because we have a combination of deciduous and evergreen trees, it's very difficult to see anything through the trees or anything to the left or the right of the portico of the White House. But nevertheless, we did outline it in red on the right. And I think the most important thing perhaps to note here is that the top balustrade, the roof line of our building, will actually not rise above the tops of these trees that you see here, which will of course remain in place. Next, please. And we also took views further south. Again, the further away you get, of course, the less visible the structure becomes. You can see those in the top. You can see that in the top two images. And then on the lower, with the lower pair, looking from the west, I'm sorry, looking from the east towards the west, you can probably get the clearest view of the side elevation of our structure, our proposed structure. You're seeing the Treasury building there in the foreground with its pediment. Then you're seeing a few trees, and beyond that, you do get a glimpse of the east elevation of the ballroom. Next, please. And these are some additional views taken from that same intersection. It's a very wide intersection, so we did take a whole series of view from that point. Because as I said, this is probably the area from which our structure will be the most visible. Next, please. And these are 4 additional views, I think, from important station points. But what these 4 views show is that the ballroom structure will not be visible from the 4 intersections indicated on the lower right there. Next, please. And then, as I mentioned, we also took 2 views, one from the Jefferson, which you see here. And what you would actually see is shown in the left image. And if you had a pair of binoculars, you'd be able to see what you see on the right in that round image. The structure, our proposed ballroom structure, actually is visible behind those trees. You'd have to have either great eyesight or a good pair of binoculars to see that. But I just wanted to show you that it is visible. And then finally, from the steps of the U.S. Capitol, again, on the left is what you would see normally. And on the right, with a pair of binoculars, you would be able to see what you see on the right with the parapet of the ballroom structure just below the, right at.
Sorry, Shalom, I think this is actually from the Jefferson Memorial looking north. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, I reversed the
I
two.
think
You're right.
maybe they got flipped.
They got flipped. I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
This is the Jefferson, as you see on the lower left. And yeah, the balustrade, because the grade rises there, the balustrade might be visible just above the tree line there. Thank you, Tom. Okay, if we go to the next image, please. So Rick Parisi should be on the line. Rick Parisi is our landscape architect, and he has a few images here as well.
Sorry, Shalom, did you want him to be brought into the presentation to
Yes,
present?
please.
It might take just a minute. I'm not sure we knew that. Bear with us.
Okay, I made it. Good morning. Rick Parisi here, Managing Principal, NPFP, Landscape Architects. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the site that Shalom mentioned briefly. This is an overall plan, overall aerial, where you can see the new East Garden. And the East Garden is basically designed, in the spirit of the original East Garden, meaning that one of the beautiful things about the original East Garden is this wonderful boxwood and ilex hedges with the amazing array of perennials and annuals that they've planted over the years. Another strong feature of the East Garden were the holly trees. They're evergreen holly trees. They're topiary, beautiful trees, and we've preserved those, transplanted them, and they'll be retransplanted. They're being stored now and cared for, and they'll be retransplanted in the new garden. All new boxwood and ilex hedges and all new perennial beds. Another nice feature that we're bringing back from the East Garden is the reuse of the Mount Vernon brick, right? And that creates the large plaza that the grand stair lands in. The other components we have here are new stone paving, large stone paving module that connects the different pathways. So if we could go to the next one, please. So you have the grand stair, and then you have the relocated original Mount Vernon brick. What you see in gray are the larger format stone pavers, and those are intended to be around 3 foot by 6 foot, maybe 2 foot by 4 foot, large paver format. What you do notice here is there is a little bit of grade change, and the main garden is at one level, and then there's a step down to multiple levels to enter the various door elevations of the new ballroom, the lower levels of the ballroom, right? You see the replanted existing topiary holly trees. There's 4 of them, symmetrical about the grand stair. And then you start to see the typical planted, islets and boxwood hedge, planted flower beds and borders. One other feature that we are relocating and rebuilding is the existing fountain. And that's on axis there from the pathway, right in the center. If you could point at that, maybe, Tom, I don't know if you can see the fountain there.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. The existing fountain is on off the brick alley, right there, in between the 2 trees, against the new ballroom. It's a small fountain that's in the East Garden now. It's been dismantled, preserved, and will be rebuilt.
That's it?
That's it. Yeah, you got it.
Great. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
That's okay. It's hard to see. It's a small piece. The last component that we're bringing in from the existing East Garden is, I think it's about 4 benches. They're beautiful kind of cast iron benches that will be put and built in, notched into the perennial gardens along the pathways. There, as I mentioned, there's a slight grade change, a couple of feet, and there is a stone retaining wall dividing that upper level garden from the lower edge, which is along the new ballroom. If you could go to the next one. Beautiful. Okay, so this is just a very simplistic elevation looking at the grand stair. So the base in front of you is the landing of the Mount Vernon brick pavers, and then you have these 2 symmetrical replanted hollies, topiary hollies, sitting in the boxwood hedges with perennial beds in between. You have the stone pavers symmetrical on each side for the walkways into the lower level of the colonnade there, and also to the right they'll have entrances into the lower level of the ballroom. And if you could go to one more, please. So this is just a black and white plan showing the grading and same information. I think there was one other slide, Tom, that has should have had some precedent, but maybe it didn't make it in. There were some pictures. That's it right there. So just for clarity, those are the topiary, the existing holly trees. The one in the second one those are preserved, and that's what was rendered in the elevation we showed you. You can see the cast iron benches there, and then just the precedent for the boxwood and the holly borders with the perennials and annuals, and of course the Mount Vernon brick, which is being reclaimed, has been reclaimed, and will be reinstalled at the base of the grand stair. And I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you. I mean, that concludes our presentation.
Mr. Chairman, we also have capacity to show the scale model. It's all white. It's sort of abstract. It has the correct topographic thing. I don't know if do you want to
I have one
check
set up
that.
here. Do you have one set up in our office there?
No, Dan Fox in my staff is actually here in the office with the model. He
great.
can just,
Okay,
he
yeah,
can just like
let's
walk
see that.
around and show it if you'd like to just see it for a sec.
Please do.
There he is. Okay. So this kind of gives you that sense of the relative scale of the pieces.
Can you walk around it in a circle? And Mr. Baranes, if you can move to whoever has got the camera, move to the left a little bit and kind of hold at the side. Keep going to the left. Does
You
the
mean down to
porch?
the south, to the southeast, maybe Dan?
Yeah.
No, where you?
No, well, no.
Yeah, there you
Go
go.
to the other side of the Treasury building, please, to the east
There.
side of the Treasury, right in the center of it. East side of the Treasury, right in the center. There, but above. So the porch is aligned, Mr. Baranes?
You're referring to the porches of the.
Yeah, whoever, yeah, they appear to align or closely.
Yes.
Okay, that's nice. I didn't know that. All right, Mr. Secretary, what?
So the next thing, I don't know if you have any more questions. I'll get into the question of public comment when you're ready, probably before you actually do your final deliberation and vote. But I don't know if you have any other questions in the meantime.
The landscaping, particularly, will there be any additional evergreen trees planted near this structure?
So are you referring, in the main garden? No, the intention is not.
Right.
Perhaps along the side, where the treasury side is, where the berm is, perhaps there. We're going to study that berm along that side. There's quite a
Mr.
great
Secretary, can you indicate where he's talking about?
You have to walk me through it again.
Yeah, so to the right side of the building.
Here.
Where the light green is, Tom? Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
That's quite a significant berm right now. And so if desired, we could plant some more evergreens in that area. Right now, the evergreens that we are using are the salvaged ones, and the topiary evergreens. They're more ornamental than in effect of screening or anything. Are you referring to evergreens for screening something, or for just creating sense of scale?
Both, softening of the structure to accommodate the grounds, much like the Capitol grounds on the west side. It's a slope down like this to perch the Capitol on that hill, and it could be a softening of the southwest corner as well as the southeast that you've just described.
Perhaps it can be additional southern magnolias, evergreen magnolias. There's quite a few beautiful ones on the grounds now.
Yeah, we have a tradition of those there.
Yep.
I'm from Georgia. We like them down here. I would suggest that, Mr. Parisi.
Yeah, we love them too. I'm a University of Florida graduate. I love southern magnolias.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Secretary. How
Yes.
should we carry forward?
Yeah, so I guess the next thing to do is to just get briefly into the public comment. Mind you, in more than 2 decades of casework here for me, I've never seen as much public engagement on this. We literally have gotten just in the past week or so more than 2,000 various messages. Way too much to go through individually, but we're going to summarize what we've got. I'm going to read you, get a few examples. Just to tell you though, that the interest has been wide, all from all over the United States. Most of this, majority of the United States, all regions, urban areas, rural areas, all over. They demonstrate a national concern carrying across political, geographic, demographic boundaries. I will say, we're gonna have to make this for the record, that the summary of it was overwhelmingly in opposition, over 99% to this project. Citizens across the entire spectrum, all professional expertise levels. The general comments were that they were concerned about the illegal demolition without permits or oversight, inappropriate scale that will dwarf the White House, the violation of historic preservation principles, a lack of transparency in funding and contracting, and a fundamental miscarriage of democratic principles. Now, this is, again, we're just summarizing what we got, and we're, of course, trying to do this as quickly as possible. What I'm going to do is read you examples of two public comments, and I'll mention a couple of institutional groups as well. A positive comment coming who said, and then we just have a handful of these, but this one says, the writer says, the United States is on the world stage. How we present ourselves says how we are viewed. Other countries have massive and elegant meeting rooms for dinners and formal events. We have a tent or the small dining room at the upper level of the State Department. Currently, people are omitted due to lack of space. Extra work is created for the staff due to kitchen proximity, and it's expensive. And it is expensive to bring in what is needed. Modernization, to have America be competitive in the eyes of world leaders, is not a bad thing. From what I've researched, this new White House wing will contain meeting rooms, the First Lady's office, guest quarters, and the ballroom. It will facilitate security during events, be cost effective, and I believe will be a credit to future generations. My vote is to let it proceed. I have a longer letter that is that just is exemplary of the negative comment. I'm just going to read the first paragraph. It's too long to go through, but it sets the tone. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. In the grand tapestry of American history, the White House stands not only as a residence for the nation's chief executive, but as an enduring emblem of democratic restraint, architectural elegance, and the collective will of the people. For over 2 centuries, its neoclassical facade, designed by James Hoban and designed through careful evolutions, has symbolized a government of modesty and accessibility, unadorned by the gilded excesses of monarchies past. Yet the proposal to erect a sprawling new ballroom at a staggering cost of up to $400 million threatens to unravel this sacred thread. This ill-conceived addition, which has already led to the hasty demolition of the historic East Wing, represents an affront to our heritage, a circumvention of democratic processes, and a misallocation of resources that could better serve the Republic. It must be halted, lest we permit hubris to overshadow humility in the heart of our nation's capital. So that those sort of bracket, the thing again, the vast majority is negative in general. We have received, I'm just going to quickly say, we often, in some of our other forums, we mentioned the different groups that have reached out. We have the Committee of 100 on the Federal City, which is an advocacy group here in Washington, D.C. We have the National Trust for Historic Preservation. We have the DC Preservation League. We have the Cultural Landscape Foundation. I've got an interesting letter from the, sorry, I'm struggling here, the Coalition to Protect America's National Parks. A lot of these, and they're all similar. I'm just going to read one also that came in from the National Mall Coalition. This is a little bit shorter and succinct, just to give it a flavor of the institutional feedback. Since our founding in 2000, the National Mall Coalition, a grassroots nonprofit organization of architects, historians, planners, and concerned citizens, has worked to protect the brilliant legacy of the historic 1791 L'Enfant and 1902 Macmillan plans for the National Mall, and to ensure the vitality, beauty, and continued active role of the mall in the capital and in American life. The first goal honors the visionary l'enfant design that laid out the mall as an embodiment in landscape and architecture of America's founding principles. The second goes to the heart of American democracy, the role of the people in decision-making for the stage for American democracy. Public participation does, as long experience in mall design matters prove they affect design. In our opinion, the proposed White House ballroom project violates both of these objectives. Not only does the structure's almost 90,000 square foot footprint and its height equal to that of the landmark White House structure challenge the physical and symbolic purity of the president's house as envisioned in the l'enfant design, its strong neoclassical features, the rows of massive Corinthian columns with elaborate capitals and long expanses of two-story arched windows, overpower the more delicate and modest ionic neoclassicism of the historic White House. The ballroom seems to shout power, Roman Empire. The White House with its curvilinear south porch is simply more Roman Republic. It as was intended, as it should be. The destruction of the old East Wing without concern for rules and laws governing public consultation speaks for itself. A disregard for the public's rightful role in decision-making, design review, and our public buildings and lands as a sacred trust. The lawsuit brought by the National Trust for Historic Preservation calls on the courts to uphold the rules and laws protecting that sacred trust. In conclusion, the coalition asks this commission to defer, for now, any approvals for the ballroom project. Please do not set a precedent that will be difficult, if not impossible, to overturn. We ask you to await the decision of the courts and not support further breach of public trust. We hope you will advise the design team to scale back the size and height, as well as tone down the neoclassical architectural features that overwhelm the modest White House design. So that kind of brackets the range of public comment, as well as the most condensed institutional thing that we've gotten. There are over 2,000 comments. So that's why I'm just trying to give you the range of what we've got. I don't know if there's any other questions, Mr. Chairman.
So I've canvassed the commission individually, and now we're all seated together for the first time. And I certainly invite any of you to speak and make comments. I'm planning on making my own as a sort of consensus of what I've determined from everyone. And so, Mr. Secretary, if you can help us walk through the procedure of doing that properly.
You've got it right on the nose, Mr. Chair. It's time for whatever commentary you want, culminating in whatever action you want to take. So, yes, you've just invited commission comments and.
So,
Okay.
Mr.
please
Chairman, if
proceed.
okay, I'll kick it off. First, I want to thank the architect and Mr. Parisi for coming again and explaining. I think that you took our thoughts from the last meeting and rearranged a lot of things, and I appreciate that you took what this commission said very seriously. I think taking the pediment off the south side was a really good move. I think that really helps to restore some balance and make it look just more aligned. I think the landscaping is going to be a huge part of this. And, a lot of times people just think of the building, but not the whole surrounding. And Mr. Parisi, I think what you presented was beautiful. And I think that is going to be a huge part of anything that happens at the White House, but also within DC and the whole DC beautification. So I really appreciated your presentation today. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Commissioner Carter. Thank you. And any other commissioners care to speak before I close us out?
Yes, I would like to. I appreciate this is Matthew Taylor. I appreciate the ground level views through the trees in the 360. I think that was very enlightening to actually understand how the structure integrates with the landscape, how it integrates on the ground, how it integrates from various points. I found that was extremely, extremely helpful in really giving the entire structure context. And so, again, I echo all of Marianne Carter's notes as well, or comments. So thank you for your presentation, and thank you for really taking us into the experience and the narrative of the space. I found that very enlightening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Anyone else?
Chairman, I would like to speak if possible.
Sure. Commissioner
I just
Harris,
want to
please.
thank you. I just wanted to thank Mr. Barnes and Mr. Parisi for their presentation. I think that sort of responding to some of the public comments and echoing the sentiments that you had in the last meeting, this is sort of like the greatest country in the world. It's the greatest house in the world, and we want it to be sort of the greatest ballroom in the world. I know that there were some comments about the size of the ballroom, but I would say, accommodating 1,000-person ballroom isn't that big by ballroom standards. And I would say also it's important for us to consider, my fellow commissioners, just the White House campus as a whole, from the Treasury building to the EEOB. I think it's really great that Mr. Barnes and the president took into consideration the commission's comments from last time of the removal of the pediment. And I think that, the size is consistent with the residents. So I would just like to thank everyone for the presentation and to really just speak in support of this project moving forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. I would like to make some remarks to move us along. I would mention that Americans do have short memories, and the president's house has been adjusted many, many times, and even to the degree of President Arthur having put Tiffany stained glass windows in the hall, separating the cross hall from the entrance hall. Beautiful windows, but completely inappropriate for this house. And President Theodore Roosevelt removed those when he did his number on bringing it back to its more neoclassical beginnings. Mrs. Kennedy also did an extraordinary job to bring that building to its beauty today, with her gestures on furnishings and gardens and protecting the house, which had honestly suffered. I know the president greatly admires what Mrs. Kennedy did. I do too, because I knew her and I was very privileged to have known her. And I see this as a step forward that President Trump is trying to do to honor what she did in the past. I also would like to speak of the Corinthian capitals, Mr. Brani's, which the president has chosen. That is the highest order of classical architecture. I've always wondered why Mr. Hovan didn't choose it for the seat of our executive for this building, because all of the other two branches have them, and you've employed them here. I would suggest one look at the north front, because we should have some consistency, and possibly the north portico, which is a significant later addition, switch to Corinthian capitals, but not the rest of the historic house. But I would suggest that you consider that on this image here, but nowhere else. That has nothing to do with the ballroom, other than the fact that you have implemented the highest order of architecture, which on this mansion I think is appropriate. I would also like to suggest, and Jake, if you could hand me these, and let's see, yeah, this will read somewhat. This is the Truman administration gesture because the house was in dire need of some help. And it was an extraordinary gesture. Can you hand me this one? And this one also. So this is the principal mansion that we're describing as if nothing has ever been done to it. And this was the interior. This was completely taken apart because it was in dire need of support. Now, this would not be likely allowed today by the current standards of the National Trust and other government bodies. And certainly the United States Capitol and the East Front was significantly expanded and doubled almost. Using Georgia marble, I'm proud to say. This is a gesture that these buildings are old and they need adjustment. And our sitting president has actually designed a very beautiful structure. And as was said in the comments earlier, the United States just should not be entertaining the world in tents. And it is really outrageous that we do that, and no president has really stepped up to the plate to require that this be corrected until President Trump. And going back to the Harrison presidents in the 19th century, the house is small relative to what it needs to do, and I would suggest, I have a great deal of respect for the National Trust for Historic Preservation. They gave me their award when I was 15 years old when I saved a theater in Atlanta. And I think they are extraordinarily great. But they were around when President Truman took the entire house apart. And why the shouting now? It seems unusual to me. We also are not even mentioning, other than the fact that Secretary Carter did, the pediment is an extraordinary improvement. It takes the massing off this building to a significant degree, as long as Mr. Parisi can be let loose by Mr. Baranis to soften some of this. It is desperately needed. The War Department has made some demands on the president, and I was not aware of just how much until the president took me through a few weeks ago. Secretary Padanov was with me, and it's extraordinary what is being required of this design that we just don't talk about publicly. And we can't, but it's there, and it has to be there. And the War Department is very happy with the significant gestures made from the Eisenhower White House that is not up to date for the modern standards to keep this nation and that city and that executive safe from this point forward for quite some time. And this president is very focused on world peace, of which I'm also interested in. And we need to let him go do that. And I would like to call a vote of this commission that we allow him to do so. And I would like to make a motion that we approve this plan based on the comments that we've made to date. Do I have a second?
I think Pamela has a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pam, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment and remind my fellow commissioners that there was a major security breach during a state dinner when it was held in a tent, and just want to keep in mind that security and safety of our president and his guests is extremely important in today's world. And I would like to second the motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the addition of the ballroom and modernization.
Thank you, Secretary Patnaud, and I appreciate you saying that too, because I'd like to add to that. I am aware of that and some others, and much less if we had a foreign leader as our guest and they were hurt because we're in a tent. That is, we have to protect the country and the country's guests. And this is a facility that is desperately needed for over 150 years. And it's beautiful. And so the president has really given us a great deal of response with the removal of that pediment, which was quite significant. And so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries, Mr. Secretary. What is the next?
Well, the next thing is then you would be seeing it for final review when it's ready.
And do we, is there a motion that's needed for that, or is that
Well,
just?
you would the normal process is you would wait for it to come forward with the documentation associated with that.
Do we need a motion for that, Mr. Secretary?
Well, normally you would wait till they have that documentation. You could choose to, I mean, you can.
So will that be in a future meeting?
Yeah, the normal circumstance would be that you would see it when it was ready.
And does that, right, I understand. We've talked about that earlier. And do we
Yes.
need a motion for that, Mr. Secretary? Or do we review it when?
If you,
they
I mean, are you
have
saying, do
finalized
you want to
all-
take it, are you saying that you want to take an action today for the
Yes.
final design?
We've just voted on it.
No, you voted on the concept design.
Okay.
You didn't use the word, what's before you is the concept. If you want to approve it in final, you'll have to do that as well. I'm sorry. if
All
that
right.
wasn't clear.
Yeah, okay, then
you know,
I thought that's what I did, but I would like to make a motion to approve the design. And I believe I have a second from Secretary Patton.
I will second that, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, so that's great. Then, so we will then, the documentation that we'll say is that you've approved it both as a concept and for the final design. It will not return to you for any further review.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, just want to be clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baranes. Thank you, Mr. Parisi.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
sure we'll be talking again regardless.
Thank you.
And please protect the president, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe at dinner or something. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, are you ready to move forward, Mr. Chairman? There you are, with the
Yes,
next
Mr.
case.
Secretary, please.
Okay. All right. Now, as I said, the one that had been next on the agenda, you approved already. So we moved on to item B3, which is also submitted by the National Park Service. This is in partnership with the nonprofit Friends of the Washington Statue. This is this one is final for design for the installation of a time capsule within the plaza of the Washington Monument. The project was intended to commemorate the nation's semi-quincentennial while also celebrating the historic and symbolic relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom. An identical time capsule has already been installed within the foundation of the George Washington statue in London's Trafalgar Square. This was last summer in June. The proposal would place a fluted stainless steel cylinder in a small vault underneath one of the existing granite pavers. In the outermost ring, darker granite ring of the plaza encircling the monument. The location of the capsule is marked by a metal inlay strip within the granite paver as an annotation of a geometric line that runs between the monument itself and the George Washington statue in London. The time capsule, which has 13 flutes and measured at about 8.5 inches in width by close to a foot in height, would be placed within a concrete vault with 4-inch thick Portland limestone cap made from a piece of the same stone as used in the London statue's plinth. The capstone will include an engraving of 13 six-pointed stars. And the capsule itself contains proclamations from both King Charles III and President Donald J. Trump. So I guess to introduce